before I answer that, I want to give props to JC Zimble. He covers NC State for On Three, and we were watching over the summer, and we were watching Maximo's team, and he said, "Just watch out for Maximo Adams." And this is before the blow up. He was like, "People are overthinking it. They're saying, oh, he's too short, or he's not this, he's not that." He's like, "The kid is good." So I wanted to give JC his props there because he called it. He's like, "The blue blood offers are going to come," and not long after they did. But what I like about him, and this is going to sound weird, I like that from a Carolina perspective, he doesn't necessarily have those NBA traits that jump off the page, like a Caleb Wilson or like a AJ DeBansta, that athleticism. Not saying he's not a good athlete, but he's not a plus athlete like them. So you start thinking about what are the things that will, I guess, keep him around Chapel Hill. And the fact that he's a really good shooter, that he's 6'7", that he rebounds, he has all that stuff to make him a really good player, but he doesn't have that top end athleticism that would make him like a one and done or someone who would be, a lottery pick after 1 year or anything like that. So you project that, if he were to stay at UNC, he would stay at UNC a few years. Like if this was 2001, you would say, "Oh man, that kid, as a junior, he could be an All American. He has that kind of talent." And then, he doesn't have the measurables to go to the NBA. Obviously, the transfer portal changes all that, but I think that's what you like about him is that he can come in, I think, already in a college program and be a contributor. I think whether or not he'll be a starter is, to be determined. I think a lot on the roster is to be determined, but the shooting ability, the willingness to rebound, the willingness to take advantage of mismatches, all those things, I think will make him a really good player and endear him to Hubert Davis because, Hubert Davis has talked so many times about versatility and how he likes guys who can do multiple things. And Maximo is definitely one of those.
Yeah, I also look at, the fact that he does have a 6'7", 200-pound frame will allow him to do a lot of things for Hubert Davis.
Yeah.
Now,
He's not built like a kid or anything. He's built like,
right,
a grown person already.
right. And he's not the quickest. He's not one of these guys that can like blow out a candle and be in bed before it gets dark. Like he's got some room to grow there as far as his quickness goes, but he's definitely serviceable. And you see the skill set that is definitely desirable. If you're looking at him and you're trying to think of something he could work on, maybe beside quickness, is there one specific thing that you feel like probably would really elevate his game between now and when he steps on campus to give him a closer shot at being a surefire starter?
Yeah, I think every high school player, you have to work on your defensive mindset, just your ability to play defense. Because a lot of times in high school, they either can coast a little bit because they're the most talented offensive player, or there's no one who can really challenge them. So defense is always something you're looking towards. I would say honestly, like a bit of more back to the basket. He's got some of that, but I think if he is going to be a three, which is possible. At 6'7", a lot of times the guys at the three that you're going to be going up against in college are more likely to be 6'4", 6'5", something like that. So working on that so you can take advantage of the mismatch. And then to your point, if he's going to be a four or a starter of the four, he's probably going to be equal to or maybe a little bit smaller than some of the other fours in college. So like, how can you increase your quickness to your point to get by those guys, to be able to get your shot off. So a mixture of things, but he's not like a poor athlete. I don't want to sound like we're poo-pooing his athleticism. He's just not that top end next level athlete. But I think there's just a lot to like and a few things to work on, but a lot more to like than there are things to work on.
Yeah, and I should couch that as well. I'm not bagging on the kid's athleticism in any way, shape, or form. I think I'm kind of putting this out there because what I think a lot of folks are going to try to compare anybody that plays the forward position to right now is Caleb Wilson because he's so everywhere for North Carolina, and so when you hear of a kid that may play some of the four and some of the three, that's what people are going to look at. How does he compare against Caleb Wilson? And I get the kind of the natural desire to want to do that. But I do think, like you were saying a second ago, I do think he rebounds well. He is fairly strong for his size. I think, like most high school kids, one of the things he could probably work on is lower body strength because when you start getting into the paint on against ACC players, it's really easy to be bumped off of balance. and I think he already has a fairly good balance about him. I think one of his better assets, kind of in his arsenal right now is um, he's got this little kind of gather fadeaway that he shoots, and I saw it a lot in that Peace Jam video. That is really hard for guys to defend because again, at 6'7", usually he's going up against guys that are his size, and when you can get kind of a high release like that and create separation for yourself with that little fade, it's going to do really well for him. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. We're not bagging on the kid by any means. I mean, he's top, consensus top 20 for a reason, and there's a lot to like. I would also point out to folks that, if you're a subscriber to IC, you have access, or if you're a premium subscriber, you have access to Sean's video that he did and the write up that he did about Maximo's game. I think there's a lot there that will give folks some really good insight about what he can do and what to see about him, what they can see about him from a little bit of time looking at him. Sherrell, how would you rate his footwork? Right, like I think a guy like that, how good his footwork is, can usually depend whether or not he's a good scorer or a really good scorer once he gets inside the perimeter.
Yeah, Sean seemed to like it. And the few times we watched him, I must confess, we live only watched him a couple of times because weren't quite sure if UNC would jump in there or if they were serious. But from what I've seen, it looks fine. He is I don't want to say he's like plotting, but he's very careful with his feet, if that makes sense. And he has in the things that I've seen, he does have an ability to get kind of square and get his feet set and get his body together fairly quickly. So I think that's a positive, and that's probably one of the reasons that he shot 42% from three on EYBL is because his feet and his arms and his body are in sync, and so his jump shot is repeatable. He's not landing to the left, one side, to the right, next side, 3 feet in front of him, next side. It's
There's no obvious
consistent.
hitch. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's consistent and it's always on balance. So I like that about him. And in general, man, like he's the type of player I think that in this age of college basketball you love because of like you mentioned the versatility, but then he plays hard. And if you watch his high school, Sierra Canyon, if you watch him on
Mhm.
EYBL, like he plays hard and he plays intense. And I think we've learned over the years that playing with intensity and playing hard is a skill that usually takes time to develop, but he already has that going for him. Now he has to learn how to do it at the college level. That's a little bit different than playing hard at the high school level. But I find that most guys who play hard in high school learn how to play hard in college pretty quickly. So he's got that going for him. He's got the shooting ability going for him. He's just the kind of player that is on a winning roster. May not ever really be like the leading scorer, may not be the leading rebounder, but he's always getting you a bucket when you need it. He's always getting you a rebound when you need it. So I think that's how I'm looking at him. Much like Derek Dixon in the 2025 class, we talked about how there's a difference between probably college impact rankings and like
Mhm.
true rankings. Because the true rankings, the goal, as we've said many times, is to kind of
NBA.
mirror and predict the NBA
Yeah.
drafts for that class.
Yeah.
Whereas college impact ranking is probably a little different. I think if it was a college impact ranking, he jumps, even higher than he already is. I think, like I said, he's consensus top 25 or 26. So if you talk about, well, who's going to do things in college, who's going to have a better college career, he probably slots up more because of the things that will keep him probably out of the NBA for a couple of years. So I like that about him too. Just, gritty, tough guys who can get baskets. Those are always valuable on any team.